will play more of that backing track as the evening goes on. Hi guys, how you doing? Guitar Interactive Magazine, Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive Magazine and GI+. It's great to be here. It's Monday evening. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out and talk about the guitar. And today we are continuing our discussion on arpeggios and their role in your blues playing. Not just your blues playing, but everyone's blues playing, but specifically your blues playing. Now this comes hot on the heels of a whole run of streams that we've done on the topic of arpeggios, because turns out, who knew, arpeggios, pretty deep subject, and definitely one that we've milked a lot out of. But today we're going to focus our attention back on the blues. Last week we had a really fun stream where we pared things back just a little bit and we talked about a more I guess a more back to basics approach to playing arpeggios in the blues context. Today we're going to take that knowledge and we're going to push it a little bit further, but not too much further. So we're using the slow blues backing track in B, which is available on the Guitar Interactive YouTube channel, by the way. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube and you're not subscribed, hey, give us a subscribe, because we have backing tracks, we have live streams, we have reviews, interviews, all that good stuff. And of course, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, give the video a like. We always appreciate it. We always appreciate it, apparently. I don't know what's happened to Jonathan in the command center, but who knows. Anyway, listen, so a couple of bits and bobs, a little bit of housekeeping before we go any further. I can't give Jonathan any stick for spelling things wrong, because I write stuff for Jonathan all the time, and Jonathan is the editor-in-chief of the magazine. He has to go through and correct all of my horrendous typos, grammatical errors, and all that sort of thing. So no position to give anybody any grief over that. Anyway, listen, so anyway, couple little bits of housekeeping before we go any further. First of all, if you're getting some use out of these videos, you're enjoying what we're doing, a couple of ways you can help us keep the lights on. You can give us a thumbs up on whatever platform you happen to be watching on. If it's Facebook, if it's YouTube, if it's Twitch. Nobody watches us on Twitch, but we're on Twitch all the same. Whether you're watching us on the GI Plus live events portal, who knows? Wherever you're watching us, give us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget, you can share this video with your guitar playing friends. That's always greatly appreciated. Shares really do help. And of course, it helps us reach the biggest number of guitar players, because we think this stuff that we're doing is pretty cool and we'd like to get it out to as many players as we can. Also, don't forget, your comments are hugely appreciated. So if you drop some comments down below, whether there's something you're into, whether you like something, whether you've got something that you want to add to the discussion, or whether you have a question, or whether you just want to say hi, all of those are very cool. We like all of them. So drop us a comment down below. Whatever it is you want to talk about, we are here for. We're also going to be answering your questions at the 45-minute mark. So let's check in with our regular streamers. Let's see who's in the house, see if we've got any new friends today. By the way, if you're a new viewer, welcome on board. We do this every Monday. It says so right here, Mondays 8 p.m. UK time, where we spend an hour going over some guitar playing stuff. It's a cool thing to do. Lovely little hangout. It's really, really nice. And we're going to meet some of our, or rather touch base with some of our regular streamers. First one in the house, Sacred Godslayer. Here we go. Hi Nick, hey guys. Here's hoping the temperature drops 5 degrees by the time the stream starts. Yeah man, Sacred Godslayer, our Italian correspondent, just cooking in this awful heat wave. So I feel for you, man. I feel for you. Marcin is in the house. Marcin sent me a reel of his band, and it sounded absolutely killer. It's this fantastic PRS. Marcin, do me a favor. Let me know if it's okay for me to post that reel in the comments, because I'll post a link to it. I'd love you guys to see it. Go and give Marcin a follow on Instagram. Some really, really nice playing. And that PRS sounds beautiful. We like it. Chris Brown is in the house. Sorry I won't be with you tonight, but I had an idea today. What about a stream on drop D tuning and different creative options? I've only ever used it for metal riffs. That is a very good shout, my man. A good idea, and I'm glad you came along to tell us that, because we like that an awful lot. Very, very cool. Really into that. So, Foghorn is in the house. Hey, you guys, it's Monday night again. Indeed it is. PJ, oh my God, we're getting earlier every week. Hi, Nick, and hi all, referring to the notification for when the stream is about to go live. So you guys get a notification from YouTube when the stream is about to go live. Incidentally though, if you want to get a notification by email when we're about to go live, you can sign up for our mailing list. Go to guitarinteractivemagazine.com. You can sign up there. By the way, while you're there, something I forgot to mention, if you want more lessons go to this URL down here. This is GI Plus, guitarinteractivemagazine.com/GI Plus, where you can go and get exclusive lessons from the likes of myself, Tom Quayle, Rick Graham, Andy Wood, Andy James, Giorgio Serci, Lewis Turner, Ian Simo, who has got some really great stuff on this, Sam Bell, Michael Caswell, who have I forgotten? Michelangelo Badio, you name it. Badio has done some lessons for us, and they're very cool. But anyway, yes, so who else do we have? Let's see what's going on. Always talk of harmonizer pedals. Very cool. Here we go. I bought a harmonizer pedal this week, switched it on, played a few notes and chords, put it back in its packaging and sent it back. Oh no. You know, sometimes things just aren't for you. I bought a pair of headphones that I've done the same with kind of recently. I don't know. Sometimes things just don't work out gear-wise. It's one of those things. But we've got some interesting suggestions for harmonizers. Incidentally, by the way, if there's anything that you guys have in terms of gear, any kind of like interesting pieces of kit that you've maybe, you know, you've spent a bit of time with and it turns out it's actually really cool. One of my favorite ones is the TC Electronic Mimic. That sat in my desk drawer forever, and I finally found a cool application for it. It sounds really, really cool. If you got anything like that, any stories like that, let me know in the comments, because we love to hear from you guys. So anyway, listen, let's see who else in the house. Larry Warren is here. Larry, it's good to see you. Larry's going to have to go in about 15-20 minutes. That's totally fine, man. You can catch this on the replay, as will Daryl Queen. Daryl Queen's good to see you. We'll likely miss most of the stream with work, but we'll catch it up later. That's cool, man. We'll see you a little bit later on. Who else in the house? Steve McD is here. Kim is here. I don't think from somewhere hot and sunny today. Who knows, though? You never can tell. David Yates is here. Good to see you. Mark Crandall is here. Doing great, man. Thank you very much. Jason Carter is tuning in from Stuttgart in Germany. Jason, it's good to see you. Cracker Tom's also tuning in from Germany. Everything's cranked up and ready to go. Response Audio says tone. Thank you very much, my man. Very kind. That is my Victory Super Kraken, but we're on a slightly different patch. Patch isn't the right word. I've been using modelers for too long. We're on a slightly different sound than usual. This is channel 1, but with the preamp focus engaged. So it's a little different to my channel 2 sound. I'll do a comparison a little bit later on. Cowcat says, hi from an increasingly warm planet. It feels like it, doesn't it? It really does feel like it. Mike Seedorf is in the house. Hello, Nick, and everybody who else is here. Mike, it's great to see you. Mal Riley is in the house. Tommy from Ireland is here. Sweet Tone. Thank you very much, Tommy. Appreciate it. There's a lot of love for the tone this evening, so, you know, maybe I'll use this one more often. It's a tone that I don't visit often enough, let's just say that. So this is kind of my my secondary higher gain tone. So I have my high gain tone, which is this guy, which you're all hopefully fairly familiar with. Let's go to the actual IR that I use for this, which is this fella. And then we have the one I'm using today, which is a slightly less high gain tone. Fatter, different cab. So this is the greenback cab that I'm using, as opposed to the greenback vintage 30 mix that I normally use. But yeah, there we go. Some stuff on tone. If you guys want to talk a little bit more about tone, we can get into that a little bit later on. Jason Carter says, so pleased he decided to do a part 2. Can't get enough of ARPs. Totally agree. Hi, Nick the Greek and the rest of the European Wrecking Crew. We're into that. Wrecking Crew. Marcin says, sure, my pleasure, man. Okay, great. We will get that shared in the interval. So keep your eyes in the comments. We're going to get a little bit of that. PJ's got a Mimic. Cool. Hey, we like Mimics. Mimics are great. Now, the way I'm tending to use mine right now is I use it live with a quad Cortex. And the Cortex has 2 inputs. But what I can do, because I've figured this out, is I can go into the Mimic and then come out of the left and right sides. It works best in stereo in the front of 2 amps. So got the Mimic into the Cortex, left goes into input 1, right goes into input 2. I wish I could show you. I haven't got it rigged up today. And then what I can do within a different patch, I can select whether I want input 1 or inputs 1 and 2 to be feeding the amps in the patch with some wizardry using the splitter and all that sort of thing. And it basically means that for my rhythm sounds, I can have hard left, right doubles. And then for the lead sound, I can have just the dry sound, which is on output 1, via input 1 on the Cortex. It's very complex. I'll explain that as we go further forward. But it's a very cool piece of kit. It basically means I can get this faux doubling sound, but then switch it off in a per patch kind of like what's the word? Kind of on a per patch basis. Very cool, very fun thing. Timothy Appling is here. Timothy, it is good to see you. Jason Carter is on the lookout for a Digitech Freakout feedback pedal, which you can use an infinite sustainer EBO style, thin on the ground at the moment. Now, this is something that's going to change because the guys from Digitech are very much back from the dead. Which is super freaking cool. They were a company that have made so much good stuff and then have unfortunately been hideously mismanaged, let's say, over the last, I don't know how many years. But our friends at Cortec have them now, which means our friends over at 440 Distribution in the UK have them. They are good people. We like them. We like them. Jim Coleman says, how do you set your nose on Mimic with the QC? Or your knobs, I'm guessing. We'll get to that in a second. What I'm doing with there, though, Jim, we'll answer this properly in the Q&A session, is it's mix on full. So basically, I have the dry and the wet turned all the way up, and then depending upon which band I'm playing with, I'll use the tightness control. So if I'm playing with Blitzkrieg and I need like a tight metal sound, I'll only really do this under a solo. So I'll use it to go super wide under Alan's solo, let's say, for example. And for that, I'll keep it really tight. But with some of my other bands, I actually like to get it a little looser. I feel like it sounds a little more authentic. So the tightness control is anywhere between, say, 9 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And then I only ever use one double. So I use the left side dry, and then the right side is fully wet with just one double. I feel like that works best for the configuration I've got. Digitech Bad Monkey is an awesome pedal. For sure it is, right? I had a Bad Monkey for years, and it was great. Really, really cool overdrive. Again, one of those things that just seemed to catch fire recently. The pedal didn't catch fire, but the idea of the Bad Monkey pedal caught fire in the public consciousness lately. Very, very cool thing. So anyway, listen, we are going to get into the meat of today's session, which is a discussion on arpeggios and all that sort of good stuff. But before we do that, I want to take a quick second and show you this. This is one of the lessons that you get in your GI Plus membership. So GI Plus members, down here, right, go to guitarinteractivemagazine.com/GI Plus if you want to sign up. That is GI-Plus, this URL right here. Get this and I don't know how many other courses. We're into like 600 lessons at this point. There's a crazy amount of lessons in there. It's not even funny. And that's not counting all of the tech sessions that we have too, which are like artist-specific style focuses. Anyway, as a corollary to what we're about to discuss today, this is Ian Simo's Slide Guitar for Standard Tuning. Now, this is a course available in GI Plus, but it doesn't just apply to slide playing. It's got a load of great arpeggio ideas that apply to blues, soul, any kind of let's say any kind of like playing in that kind of domain, but also kind of extrapolates out to the beginnings of jazz, to how you might use it in a rock context. It's a great course. It sounds something like this. When we come back, we're going to get into arpeggios and the blues.
Hi, my name is Ian Simo and I'd like to share with you my course on slide guitar for standard tuning. This is a 10-part series in which we're going to explore the essential slide hand techniques and pick and hand techniques. We're also going to take a look at rhythm playing with the slide. So we're going to look at how to integrate the slide with major and minor triads. Really enjoyed putting this series together. It comes complete with some backing tracks for all of the example phrases and exercises so you can practice along, and it comes complete with tablature and notation for all the example phrases and exercises. So if you've been interested in getting into slide, I highly encourage you to check out this course, this 10-part series on slide guitar for standard tuning.
So that's Ian Simo's slide guitar for standard tuning. It is a killer course, and as Jason Carter rightly points out, a fellow Geordie, it's one of those accents, man. I don't know what it is about the water up here, but we seem to have an overabundance of great guitar players. It's a nice thing, and it's a good thing to be around. Certainly keeps you humble, let me tell you that much. So anyway, listen, let's get into the meat of today's session. A very, very brief revision of what we talked about last week. This week we're going in the key of B, but last week we discussed the idea of taking some arpeggios. Pardon me, I had a cough there. Must be getting dry again. So we took the idea of taking some arpeggios, matching some arpeggios to the chords in our blues. Now, last week we played in the key of A. Today we're going to be playing in the key of B. And a quick reminder on this, the chords in question, here, we're going to turn that delay off because that's a little bit annoying. That's better. The chords in our blues here, we have a B7, which is chord number 1, an E7, which is chord number 4, an F sharp 7, which is chord number 5. So we have 1, 4, back to 1, and then we can go all the way up to 5. Now in this particular blues, we're playing a quick change blues, but it's very, very slow. So what this means is, even though the tempo is very slow, we have a change from 1 to 4 in bar number 2, and then back to 1. I'll say that again. So it's 1, chord 4, then back to 1 for a couple of bars. Chord 4 for 2 bars, chord 1 for 2 bars. And then the usual 5, 4, 1, back to 5 turnaround that we'll talk about in a second. So real quick, we talked about the idea of playing some dominant 7 and some major 6 arpeggios over both of these. Let me show you what's going on here. So a dominant 7 in B would be thus. We would get 9th fret on the D string, 8th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the B string. We also indulged ourselves with, in this case, fret number 10 on the B string, and then fret number 7 again on the high E string. We discussed this as being basically a minor pentatonic with the addition of a major third. And as such, sounds a little bit mean sounding. We can play this as a B by rooting ourselves on fret number 7 with the highest notes. We can play it as an E by rooting ourselves on fret number 12 on the highest notes. And then F sharp by rooting ourselves on fret number 14 on the highest notes. Now, the other arpeggio we took a look at was the major 6 arpeggio, which is exactly the same, but the only difference is, instead of playing this note, we move it down by a semitone. So we get this. Once again, that's 9, 8, 7, 9 this time, and then 7. There's major 6. There's dominant 7. Once again, we can play that here by taking exactly the same shape and just positioning it on each one of these chords. So on and so forth. One last addition we talked about was including this note, which is the flat third, as a little passing tone to go from chord to chord. A quick example of this over a chord progression might look like this. bit jumpy at this point, but don't worry about that. That's just going to be using one shape and shifting it around. We're going to change that in a second. Let's come out of that for a second. So that's an example of playing these arpeggios that we discussed last week, up and down one string. I want to show you a few different ways you can play this. So that's one way of getting it, but the way we're going to approach it today is a couple of ways, well, manyfold, let's say. There's a couple of ways we're going to tackle it. First thing I want to show you, by the way, just as a bit of a cheat, is the very first lick that I played in today's stream. So in the intro solo, there was a very first lick. I'm not really much of a licks guy, if I'm honest. I tend just to have kind of like roots through scales that I'll have particular patterns and ways of getting through them. So I'm not saying that everything I play is 100% original. That's not true. But I tend not to think in terms of licks, I guess is what I'm saying. But this is a lick. So very quickly, I want to show you this. This is a bit of something cool. So something that works really, really well over the first chord of a... Oh yeah! Should point this out, by the way. Go here. This is Marcin's reel. This is Marcin playing absolutely fantastically. Go there, especially after this stream, right? Because he's playing beautifully, right? Really, really good. And that PRS sounds very strong. So anyway, cool lick that is based around that major 6 thing that we talked about. So this major 6 arpeggio was this. Sounds very old in a very cool way. We like that. Almost kind of 50s sounding. I guess you could even take it further back than that. Either way, very nice sound. So what we can do with this is we can take these top 3 notes, which in this case is an F sharp, that's our 5th, a G sharp, which is our major 6, and then a B, we get this. If we play that with a slide up to our target note, which in this case is the root note of our scale. So in this case, we're playing the key of B. So this is our chord number 1. If we play 5, 6, and then 1, which in fret numbers is going to be, in this case, 7, 9, and then 12. But really the way to think about it is, this is the one we're playing. You're playing 5 frets below that, 3 frets below that, and then up to it. You get this really beautiful sound, which is just a go-to for me. It's this. You can come back down. Oh. Now that might not sound like an arpeggio to you. That might sound like just some blues scale licks, but that is a lick that I use all the time. In my head, I'm thinking about it as a major 6 arpeggio. Now a major 6 arpeggio is only 1 note away from a major pentatonic anyway. So, you know, you could think about it as a major pentatonic lick. I think about it as a major 6, but either way, right, we've already talked about the idea that arpeggios and scales start to blur a little bit, if that makes any sense. But anyway, let's go a little deeper with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can play these arpeggios as chords to begin with, and see if we can kind of keep these all in one position. This is where things start to get a little more interesting. So very quickly, let's play some stuff together, right? And I'll encourage you to grab your guitars for this, by the way. So we're going to start back in our B, right? And let's find some voicings that we can use to play our major 6 and our dominant 7 arpeggios. So very quickly, if this is a B chord right here, which we should all know, that's a B major bar chord. If we take the very top portion of this, which was the arpeggio we just played, which is 9, 8, 7, 10 on the B string, and then on the high E string, we have 7. We can play this. What is that? Well, it's 9 on the D string, 8 on the G string, 10 on the B string. But you'll note the fingers I'm playing it with, because it comes from this. Now this is interesting, right? There's a cool little voicing we can play for our arpeggios. Our dominant 7 arpeggio. The next one we could play, when we go to our 4 chord, would be something like this. Now this is useful for your blues comping anyway. Let's talk about what's going on there. So if we take an A-shaped bar chord, in this case we're playing an E, we can bar like thus. If we take away this note here, our 3rd finger note, fingering gets a little bit awkward, but we could play it like this. We could play 7, 9, starting on the A string, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7. Let's keep just the D, G, and B strings. So we have D9, G7, and then back to B9. So what do we get here? We get 9, 8, 10, then 9, 7, 9. Let's just practice going between those real quick. We're going to call these chord 1, which is 9, 7, 10, 9, 8, 10, and then chord number 4, which is 9, 7, 9. Let's play those along with our backing track. Watch what we get. Let's change. There's chord 4. Back to chord 1. It's nice, right? There's chord 4. Instantly, if you ever find yourself playing rhythm in a 12-bar blues, this is kind of a fun way to do it. For our next chord, which is chord 5, we can just play chord 4 but up 2 frets. So we'll get 11, 9, then 11. We'll get this. Here's 5. Down 2 frets. Notice the little walk down there. There's chord 4. Back to chord 1. Chord 4. 1 again. Then 5. I'm going to play this again, but this time I'm going to play these voicings. As solo ideas. Let's try that chord number 5 idea. That's interesting in itself, because even with this very restricted palette of these 3 arpeggio shapes and some blues licks going around them, we can create some cool and interesting sounds with this. Now, this is all, again, matching the arpeggio to the chord that we're playing. We don't have to do that. We'll talk about that another time. We don't have to do that, but it's a lot of fun to take this idea of using these arpeggios and kind of embedding them on top of your existing pentatonic scales. What am I talking about with that? Well, let me show you. So if I were to imagine, for example, the minor pentatonic scale, but I was to imagine that with a dominant arpeggio laid on top, what might I get? Well, this is my minor pentatonic. If I take this and I lay a dominant 7 arpeggio on top of it, a B dominant 7 in this case, we get some interesting stuff. So what do I mean by lay on top? Well, what I'm imagining here is I'm imagining this minor pentatonic and I'm also imagining this. This dominant 7 arpeggio. I'm imagining them both at the same time. So it's almost like, I guess it would be like if you ever had those kind of vinyl overlays for projectors at school, maybe. This is probably a very British thing. But if you were to take 2 of them and lay them on top of each other, that's kind of what you get. Now, this is kind of cool because it gives you a set of options that includes the good old familiar minor pentatonic. You know, nothing beats minor pentatonic, nothing beats rock. Bart was right. Anyway, yeah, that minor pentatonic, it gives us that very familiar shape, but also gives us some kind of information that's... I guess is like specific to the chord we're playing. Now I can do the same thing over chord number 4, but here I might imagine this arpeggio over the top. Now you might think about this as a bar chord, like thus, which would be 7, 9, 7, 9, 7. If I lay my minor pentatonic over that, I get something like this. There's the minor pentatonic. Already this sounds more interesting now. I'm playing minor pentatonic, but I'm also imagining this arpeggio. This is where we kind of get into the Jan Hammer. Is it Jan Hammer or is it Jan Hammer, right? I'm never sure about this, right? It's, how is it pronounced, right? Is it, because this is terrible, I should know that, right? But I'm going to say the Jan Hammer / Jeff Beck pentatonic. We like a bit of that, right? Mixed Lydian hexatonic, says my friend Craig. The first one kind of is. The second one, well... kind of is, kind of isn't, but it's an interesting way of putting it. This one is a little bit like that Jeff Beck pentatonic, but it's, again, not quite, because we also have this note in there as our minor pentatonic. So minor pentatonic here. Yawn. I will yawn hammer. Wow, there you go. Bizarre. Probably sounds worse than my accent. But anyway, we have this minor pentatonic, but we also have this arpeggio overlaid. Now, the beauty of this is it gives us a blended approach where we're not just playing arpeggios, we're not just playing pentatonics, and we don't hit the switch to go from one to the other. We just start to dab some arpeggio notes within our pentatonic scale. Let me show you what that sounds like. So very quickly, what we get is this. We get this. There's our dominant 7 arpeggio. Over chord number 1. Here's our dominant 7 arpeggio over chord number 4. I'll show you that a bit more cohesively. Don't worry if you don't know all of this shape yet, by the way. You can get away with just this. You'll be fine. And I'm going to lay those in with the pentatonic. And let me show you how this all fits. Fun. Some accidental dampening there. Some shred at the end, but shred is good fun. So anyway, that's how I'm kind of thinking about this sort of stuff. Now, I'm not going to sit and show you some licks over this, but what I will do is I'm going to show you one little bonus idea that we can go with this. Now, this is all still like pentatonic position 1, but there's lots of fun to be had. with a ninth arpeggio in and around this sort of stuff. Now, ninth arpeggios are just where we go a little bit further. So we take our dominant arpeggio, dominant 7 arpeggio, and we just kind of like extend it by one extra note. So if I were to play this up the E string, right? Here's E. If I played the E mixed Lydian scale, let's say, I would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, etc. If I play 1, 3, 5, and flat 7, I get a dominant 7 arpeggio. We're doing this play 1, miss 1 business. So play 1, miss 1, play 1, miss 1, play 1, miss 1, play 1. If we go one step further, miss 1, play 1, we get this guy on top, this. That incidentally is the arpeggio from I Feel Good by James Brown. Not 100% sure where it goes from there, do you? So on and so forth. Whatever it does. I'd pass. It's been a while since I played that one, but very cool song all the same. That's the arpeggio. Anyway, the way we can get this, I'm going to show you a shape to go with this. It is an awful lot of fun. Nick Harrison, my friend Nick Harrison, is right where he says the 9th is where blues becomes funk, for sure. And the 11th and 13th, certainly the 11th is where it becomes fusion. And then the 13th is where it becomes kind of, I guess, jazz? Who knows? But you're absolutely correct, right? The 9th is where the funk lives. So, very quickly, very, very quickly, here's a bit of fun. A bit of fun stuff. So here's the 9th for you, right? Watch this. If we play our dominant 7 arpeggio, which we had here, we do a little bit of switcheroo to get this note over here. So what we're going to get so far is this. We have fret number 9, fret number 8, then fret number 7, fret number 5. We have this so far. Bit of an awkward fingering. So watch this. We're going to play instead 7, 8. That's D string 7, G string 8, B string 7, E string 5. And then we can reach up here and get E string 9, which gives us this. We can also go one little step further with this. Watch this. If we play this note here, that's going to be fret number 6 on our G string, so we get this. Suddenly we're playing something that's a little bit more expensive sounding in a very, very cool way, right? So once again, that is going to be 7, 6 and 8, 7, 5 and 9. This is in the key of B, so we're imagining that's the B there, even though we haven't actually played the B. It's got a very cool sound, but let me show you a trick with this, right? So there's our 9. Watch this. I can use this 9 to imply some really interesting ideas by playing it up a fret. Ha ha. So we have this. Watch this. A little cheeky and flew up here and played it. But watch this. Here's a bit of fun. Did you catch that? I'm going to show you it again in a second. without going too far into the specifics, this 9 that we just played, if we play it as a B9 and then we shift it up a fret, we get this almost instant outside kind of sound. It's almost like the instant Robin Ford sound, if that makes any sense. The reason this works is many-fold and complicated, but if we assume that what we're playing here is a C9, because B9 up a fret gives us C9, C9 is a flat 5 or a tritone away from this F sharp. F sharp is chord number 5. Now, don't worry about the why, we can basically play a dominant arpeggio, a tritone away from any dominant 7 chord, and we get effectively an implied altered dominant. So we get an implied 5 dominant, 5 altered, if that makes any sense. Tritone substitution, you jazz friends will know it as, but the cool thing about it is we can do this even if the backing track is not doing it. And we can kind of do it fairly willy-nilly. It just basically turns whatever we're playing into this, which is our 5 chord, with a couple of spicy jazz alterations that we don't need to worry about. Now, this is fun because it gives us the opportunity to go a little bit spicy with this stuff, but we can also use it as a little lead-in because it sounds so strange and outside. We can use it as a little lead-in to get to another chord. So it's a fun thing to do, even though it's not really strictly a 5-1 movement. It's a fun thing to do, even just to slap this in over the, like, play C9 up a fret, slap this in over the 1 to 4 movement. That works really well. Now, you could play it as like an F9 if you wanted to be like all super jazz about this. And that would work well too, but it actually works really quite nicely just playing the 9 but up a fret. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Watch this. I'm going to do it here. So here's our 9. I'm going to do it again here to transition into my next chord. Now, you've got to be a bit brazen about this, right? If it sounds a bit odd, you've just got to kind of roll with it. But another fun thing we can do with this is we can use it to transition from the end of our progression back to our 1 chord. It works really nicely. Like this. That's really good fun. Now here's another fun thing we could do. We could play an F9, which is a semitone above our E chord, to get the same deal. Now, the way I'm going to get this, I'm just going to shoot up the fretboard and do it. Here we go. Loads of fun. Now, we can get more into this perhaps another day, but a very good place to find some of this stuff, if you want to get a bit deeper with this, is The Art of Jazz Soloing, which is a course that's on GI+. It's by Lewis Turner. It's absolutely fantastic. Great introduction to this business of playing with arpeggios. Now, a quick word on this, by the way. If any of you are sat going, wow, that got complicated quick, just want to remind you, we've already won, right? You take that lick away from this stream, Great fun. Really, really, really good. Nick Harrison is, I like that effect when we just shred out an F sharp minor arpeggio over B7. For sure, it's great fun, right? F sharp minor arpeggio. In essence, what we're doing here is we're playing or the way I might think about it is we're playing a deconstructed posh restaurant version of the pentatonic fifth way. The Eric Johnson thing where you'll play, like, instead of playing B minor pentatonic over B minor, you'll play F sharp minor pentatonic. Loads of fun. Now, we'll get to that stuff, but I want to remind you once again, this little lick of playing a B6 as a way of starting your solos, it's worth the price of admission. So anyway, listen, we're going to take a brief break. I'm going to show you some stuff. In the meantime, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Great comment from Jason Carter, by the way. I can always watch a rerun, and YouTube has a video speed control for sure. If any of this stuff is flying by too quickly, I'm trying to make this musical, and sometimes that involves playing a little bit quicker. So yeah, you want to slow any of this stuff down? Don't worry, you can catch it on the rerun. You can play it at 50% speed. It is worth your time. In the meantime, just want to take a quick second and show you this. This, if any of you are interested in the expressive side of this sort of thing we're doing, is a course that I've made on the subject. Very challenging thing to teach is expression, apparently. This is called Expressive Techniques Part 1. It's about vibrato, bends, slide. It's a really cool course. In your GI Plus membership, go to this URL to get a GI Plus membership if you haven't done so already. It's what helps us keep bringing these streams to you. When we come back, we'll be answering your questions. Hi guys, Nick Jennison with Guitar Interactive and GI Plus. Does your playing sound like this? When really you'd like it to sound like this? Now, the difference between these two examples are not the notes that are being played, but rather the way the notes are being played. I'm sure you've heard this before. Guitar players will say to you, it's not what you play, it's how you play it. And when it comes to creating interesting, emotive, and musical sounding guitar lines, that is very much the case. And in this course, Expressive Techniques Part 1, we aim to equip you with the tools to sound more musical, more emotive, more interesting, and ultimately more expressive on the guitar. And we are going to do this by exploring the three principal left-hand expressive techniques, which are slides, bends, and vibrato. I'm going to show you the mechanics of these techniques and how you can execute them cleanly, efficiently, and reliably. I'll also give you some exercises to help develop these techniques, and we're also going to discuss some musical applications, how you might use these techniques in your own playing. We're going to go into great depth with that stuff, and I'm also going to give you a solo study, a piece of music I've prepared, and I'm going to encourage you and kind of guide you through the process of applying expression to an otherwise expressionless and bare sounding piece of guitar playing. So at the end of this course, you are going to be able to take otherwise uninteresting and fairly dry pieces of music and turn them into expressive, colourful, musical lines. And you're also going to be able to take this and apply it to your own playing or to other people's music that maybe you're playing and you want to express in your own way. This is Expressive Techniques Part 1. My name is Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive GI Plus. I hope you'll join me. I will see you in there. There you go, guys. That is Expressive Techniques Part 1. Really fun course to make, let me tell you, right? I talk about how hard it was to make all the time. It's a lot of fun, right? And it's the product of a lot of study on my part. So hopefully you guys have got a kick out of it. I think it's really cool. It's definitely worth your time. Anyway, listen, we've got a bit of time for some questions. We've got two that I really want to highlight that have come in pretty much at the last minute, actually, which is pretty cool. I want to highlight this first of all from Daryl Queen. Daryl Queen says, Nick, just wanted to say thanks for the tip last week about fretting hand pressure, fret pressure to the fret wire and not to the fretboard. I've been shredding it to great results. Hey man, thank you very much. I'm really pleased to getting some results out of this. For anybody who's missed this, this is a quick thing. It's a semantic difference. It's a very small semantic difference, but it's an important one. And I think about this as more of a cueing thing, something to focus your attention on when you're playing, if that makes any sense. But the role of your fretting hand is not, well, the important bit is not putting your finger on the string. That's not the bit that, yes, that is important. But the role of the fretting hand is to bring the string into contact with the fret. And that is it, right? It is not the finger on the string that makes the sound. It is the string on the fret that makes the sound. Now, with this, we have a tendency to kind of overcompensate as guitar players and push a little too hard. So what we may end up doing, or push a little bit too far maybe, what we end up doing is we end up going, I need to get the finger, the string all the way to the fretboard. You don't need to do that. You just need to bring it into contact with the fret, and that is it. That is all we need to do. Now, what can come as a symptom of that is you can start to overshoot, in an effort to bring the finger into contact with the fretboard. Now, to do that, here's a little challenge for you, by the way. I want you, dear friend who's watching this, I want you to take the tip of your finger and put it on the string, and then bring that string into contact with the fret. From there, I want you to push your finger so it's in contact with the fretboard. You have one of two options here. You can either, assuming you're using the tip of the finger and the very bone of the finger to fret the note, you can either press really hard and bring the string sharp, which sounds like this. Not much fun, and even then it feels pretty painful. Or you can go over the string and bring your finger into contact with the fretboard in between the strings, and then use a softer part of the finger, a part of the pad, to fret the note. I want to show you this, right? I'm going to pick this with the same aggressiveness, let's say. This is a pad note that's being fretted. Here is a tip note that's being fretted. That's with the tip of my finger. Here's with the pad of the finger. Notice how the sustain is much more even with the tip. It's weird. It shouldn't make a difference, but it does. It's a very, very strange thing. Marcin says, hashtag technique hotfixes. You know what it is? I got a course in this. The course is called Technique Hotfixes. It's in your GI Plus subscription. Go get it. It's a lot of fun. It's things like this, like little tips where you go, look, just do this, and then everything's going to be better. But yeah, it's one of those things, man. So yeah, I'm really glad you got some mileage out of that, Daryl. It's a great tip. It's something that when I remind myself to do, I'm like, oh yeah, that's how you play the guitar. Okay, Rick Elliott says, any SRV insight? Much appreciated. I'm going to show you an SRV trick very quickly. So this is a fun one, right? Because we all love a bit of Steve. Oh, turn the microphone off. Let's go to the close-up cam and the main cam. Real quick, I'll show you this. So in the key of B, here's another example about how SRV might use these arpeggios. So what we might get is, we might take a look at this classic Stevie Ray Vaughan lick, which sounds something like this. And if this takes us a little bit over time, it's fine. This. Which I'm now just playing all freestyle. Fun. You need to have a very even picking hand for this to carry off, which I apparently don't have today, but that's fine. That's okay. I'm experimenting with a very sharp pick, and it's probably not the pick to do this with. So maybe I'd actually roll to the shoulder for that, actually. That is so much easier. Should have just done that. So tip number one with this is when you play this, roll to the shoulder of your pick to do it, and I mean the rounded part of the pick. But let's show you what's going on here, right? So this is essentially the same deal. I'm going to hide the comment, Rick, just real quick, so I can show you what's going on here. Same deal as our arpeggios from before, but it's a very, like, Stevie thing to do. Now, what we're playing here is we're playing an arpeggio that is essentially a B7 over our B7 chord, an E7 over our E7 chord, back to a B7 arpeggio over our B7 chord. We can then take that a bit further to an F sharp 7, an E7, and then back up here. Let me show you the fingerings for this. So very quickly, let's take a good old-fashioned D7 chord. There's a D note, there's a D chord. 2, 3, 2. 2, 3, 2. We know a D chord. Let's play it as a D7. 2, 1, 2. There's a D7. There's a D note. Let's take that D note on the open D string and advance it up to B. There's B. Right, there's B. From here, let's play essentially 2, 1, 2. What actually comes out is 11, 10, 11. But there's the B note. That's what we're playing here. We can strum it as fast as we want. We can use it as an arpeggio idea. But essentially, anytime we've got this, we can play that as one of these lovely SRV strummy patterns. We could take it up here and play the same thing. That's an E7 in this case. There's an E note. There's 2, 1, 2. In this case, it's 14, 13, 14. We could just play that and move it around to our heart's content and get this. Let's roll to the shoulder of the pick and get it. Where we get... lot of fun. Now, we don't have to do that. We can do this cool trick, which takes us a little step further. Do you remember this shape that I showed you as the E7? Well, we can play this shape as well. Let's take an A bar chord. That gives us, it's an A-shaped bar chord, but it's an E. We get 7, 9, 9, 9, 7. Let's play 9, 9, and instead of 7, let's play 10. This gives us root, third, flat 7. It's an E7 arpeggio. We're thinking about the E as this E here. And we can go between this. Then back here. If you want to get the 5 chord, would you look at that? It's the same as this one, only up 2 frets. Let me get to the end of a turnaround and show you how this might work. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Let's go. And then let's go. So on and so forth. Great fun. All the fun of the fair. So that's kind of a way... Oh, my orange light's gone off. That's a way you might... It's telling me that we've run over time. That's a way you might think of playing this sort of stuff in a Stevie Ray Vaughan-esque kind of fashion, I guess. Stevie's an interesting cat because a lot of the time his stuff was just minor pentatonic. And that's fine because it's Stevie. It sounded great. It's resisting the urge to swear. I guess probably a parting insight with this from Stevie, if that makes any sense, is don't be afraid to just play minor pentatonic. It's okay. You're allowed. You are permitted to play minor pentatonic. You don't have to just play clever stuff. if that makes sense. Here's an interesting one. As some guy pointed out recently, SRV tone is basically pick the electric as if it was an acoustic with rest strokes a la gypsy jazz pickers for the loud notes, for sure. Now, I just want to quickly touch on this. I think this is something people fixate on with Stevie, is the aggressiveness and the loudness. And that was absolutely a facet of Stevie's playing. But one thing Stevie did that sometimes goes a bit unnoticed is Stevie played quieter better than probably anyone. So by quiet, I mean like these kind of really gentle. Like super, super delicate. And I think the fact that he was able to have this huge dynamic range as a player is what made the aggressive stuff special. We can batter on the guitar to our heart's content. It's not going to make us Stevie because that's only half of the picture. But it is an important half of the picture. Another big one, and we talked about this before, if you want the loudest note you can possibly get on the electric guitar, pluck the thing, get your finger under it and pop the note. It's the reason why slap bass players do that. Anyway, listen, I will not channel Stevie Ray Vaughan because I'm the wrong person for this. Because I love Stevie, love what he did, haven't integrated that into my vocabulary enough to do it authentically, but I've got a lot of respect for it. I think the guy was... you don't need me to tell you how great Stevie was. Anyway, listen, we're going to play ourselves out. Before we go, I want to take a minute and thank you guys for coming along. It's been a lot of fun. We will see you next week for yet another stream. Yeah, same place, same channel. 8 p.m. UK time. It's this way. 8 p.m. UK time. We'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. In the meantime, more blues. Having too much fun. Let's play some proper stuff. See you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. This, by the way, is what you get in your GI Plus subscription. See you guys next week. My name's Nick Jennison, and it's a pleasure to introduce to you GI Plus, the brand new lesson platform brought to you by Guitar Interactive. We've assembled a team of the best players and educators in the world to bring you exclusive lessons covering everything from metal to blues to fusion and everything in between. Want to level up your shred chops? Check out How to Play Fast by Andy James. Or how about sweep picking with Rick Graham? Or maybe country's more your bag? Well, how about a full-length exclusive country guitar course from Andy Wood? Interested in learning how to play over changes? Well, members get access to hours of exclusive lessons from Fusion Maestro Tom Quayle. Or maybe you want your playing to sound more soulful. Well, who better than Chris Buck to show you how it's done? Or perhaps you want to learn the secrets of the masters. Well, members get access to over 60 feature-length tech sessions where our tutors painstakingly decode the styles of players like David Gilmour, Eddie Van Halen, John Petrucci, Larry Carlton, Slash, Tosin Abasi, Paul Gilbert, and many more. You get all this along with exclusive live webinars, free backing tracks, competitions, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for GI Plus today.